Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 8 breakdown for a BT11 tournament I ran earlier this week to kind of prepare for the nationals for North America that are happening this upcoming weekend. So first, real quick, I do want to shout out LFG Nexus for sponsoring the event. It is a social media platform for gamers for finding events not only online but also locally, and it's where I'm going to be posting some more events in the future too. This one was a big success, so I'm really happy that it all worked out. So please make sure to check them out. It would mean a lot to me, and we'll just kind of go from there. So thank you very much for LFG Nexus for sponsoring the tournament and helping for the prizing for it there. So anyways, going over this top 8 breakdown that we have, we see it's like a perfect little pizza pie right there. 8 different archetypes in that top 8, which is really interesting to see. And in general, since this is kind of like the pre-nats, at least for me, I want to just kind of go over my thoughts on each one of these archetypes that did get into this top 8. In general, I did make a tier list video earlier this month, kind of going over my thoughts, and now watching this tournament and seeing how these decks play, I think I would more or less expect each one of these decks to get into top 32 if they can. I know 8 out of a top 32 is asking for a lot, but I think all of these can make it. And on some of these, I did not originally say that I think they could do it. So we're going to go over my individual thoughts with those two. We do also have the leader breakdown as well. Sorry, the archetype breakdown for this as well. Thank you to George Espira for putting this chart together. We did have a pretty wide array, and like, I think in general, like it's kind of understood, like the bigger archetypes are better, and this is a smaller tournament. It also was a public tournament leading up to nationals, so some people might have just been playing this for fun, are not really their real deck if they don't want to kind of share their spice. So that is something you do have to take into account when looking at these results, but I do like just going over the data that we do get as well. So this also was streamed if you guys care to see the VOD. It is on my Twitch there, but we are going to go over each one of these 8 decks, and we're going to start off with Samuel Decker's first place Blue Flare list, which is right here. And Blue Flare has been kind of like in the shadows as a viable deck. I think it got kind of shadowed by Malga X. I think Malga was way more popular and way more kind of consistent for what it is, but there's a little bit of support this deck gets, and it does make a huge difference with it. First of all, the 4-tamer of the Taiki, Kariha, and Nene, just really, really big. Being able to have just another source of getting like some, using your tamers to get cards from underneath, so you can use your Digicross is good. The fact that it gains a memory and draws a card every turn as long as you put a Blue Flare underneath it, which is very easy to do in this deck. I think that's a big add for it. We also do have the Metal Gray and Cyber Launcher, so it has Armor Purge. On play, when Digivolving, you place 1 card with Blue Flare from his trait underneath it, and then return 1 of your opponent's level 4, and if Cyberdramons, return 1 at level 4 to the bottom. So this can actually like do like a little board clear, which is kind of nice, and it has Armor Purge, and it can be when Digivolving, so just like the flexibility with it, as well as being named Metal Greymon and Cyberdramon. All that's kind of nice. We do also have I think that's and also the Z Greymon. Z Greymon is great for just kind of ending the game too. So when Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon, then if a card with Blue Flare or Crosshair is in this Digimon, your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, you get to gain 2 memory as well. So and then also I think that is all I have to say about that. Yeah, pretty strong for what you can. Also, like on deletion, you get to save, then place 1 Blue Greymon in its name and 1 blue Male Birdramon in your trash underneath one of your tamers with the general trait, which I believe you can do on this guy. So it's just like a nice kind of add to the deck. The Cross 7 archetype doesn't fit into this one as much as the Cross Heart, but in general, like this just reminds me of like when Blue Hybrid was roaming around, and if you can't play around this deck, and some decks strictly can't play around it because they're just made to have like a really wide board, this can just stun an entire board, and then your opponent's going to have a hard time getting rid of it again. And like the fact that Metal Greymon will have Rush, the fact that it can attack twice very easily, and it can stun when it does attack, I think hurts a lot of decks that are pretty viable right now. So big congrats to Samuel on their finish there. Enjoy your box, and let's go to our second place list. So this is Tristan's Bloomlord, and this is a deck that I think I probably underestimated the strength of it in this format. It didn't really it did some stuff in EX3. I think it was pretty meta then, but it's just the fact that it didn't get like a lot of support, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, it unsuspends with Bloomlord, so like it's bad against Black War Greymon X and everything, but in general, I can still see that this deck is good. I think it does have some consistency issues. I think it's a deck that also wants to go wide, so a lot of decks can punish you for doing that. And just kind of like the lack of like good cycle at times is pretty rough. A lot of meta decks right now have ways to consistently find their 4s or 5 because they search for them. This deck doesn't as much. It kind of just hopefully draws what you need by going up for it. So there are some kind of issues with that. There are some new cards. So we do have like the Vegemon. What start your turn to get to gain 1 memory, and it has the vegetation. There's also Palmon, same kind of thing, but only in draw 1. So kind of nice effect there. And just they are on archetype for these effects, but Hydramon can still shut down a lot of decks, and the fact that it's removal without deletion is great, and the fact that Bloomlordmon 2 can potentially, like, you can just keep going up into them if you keep finding them, and can be very strong. So like this build right here, I think Tristan was a good player. I liked seeing him play as well, and just a big congrats to them there. Next up we have Martin's 3rd place Ulforce, and this is a really cool list. I like to see Ulforce. I think I also was a little bit too harsh on. I think after seeing a couple more builds, especially like this one, I think that a top 32 finish at Nationals is not too out of the realms of possibilities, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened anymore. It's just the idea, and I like the tamer layout is essentially what I have been doing on my personal list. I'm not sure why merciful mode, if there's a reason for it. It's just when digivolving for each Digimon with Mega, this Digimon's devolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon, then place up to 10 cards of your opponent's trash the bottom of their deck in any order. Instead of turn, trash the top card of this Digimon. If you do, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So I'm not exactly sure why this one specifically is good for it, but hey, it could be fine. I don't think it's bad. It's just an interesting kind of choice there. The Leomon package is quite cool too. I like the ads for it. The fact that this is running very little of the actual like Vidramon stuff is interesting too, and I don't know, Martin plays like a lot of weird ratios, but they really work out, and just a big congrats to him there. I really hope that Ulforce does get a top 32 now, so we're going to have to see if that happens. Next up, we have Max's 4th place Grandis, and if you guys know Max, he's been grinding on green pretty much every archetype and every meta that we have. So I think Grandis is on sites for being one of the best decks into the format. I think it has a lot of good matchups when need to be, and if you just, I haven't been seeing security control as much as I thought I would, which is really interesting. A lot of decks kind of like it just has been stopped showing up, which I think a lot of people are okay with that. I don't think, did anyone play it in the event? I don't think they did, right? No one played at this event, which means nothing, but just that no one wanted to play security control at a fun event, which I guess makes sense there. But nothing too outrageous for this deck. I think Lalamon for recycling of rookies is a good idea if you need it to be. The only Digiburst is the Grand Kuwagamon, so it's not like there's a lot of things you can do, but a 4-4 split there, and then a 9 level 5s was quite a bit there, especially with what you have 4, 2, 3, so 12 level 4s too. So I don't know, very low to the ground, just running the Mimi and the Davis Tamers as well as the Green Men Boost. I think it's just, this is literally, I'm going to go up my chain and it's going to work. And if you have a counter to it, I'm out of luck. But I don't think a lot of decks are running inherent counters to it because like there's a bit of a triangle format going right now. So congrats to Max on this top 4 finish, and good luck at the Digimon National Championships that's happening this weekend as well. Next up, we have Howard's 5th place Crossheart, and Crossheart's been a big favorite of mine. And I haven't released, after I released the tier video of the decks that I've been playing and testing, I saw this list and I'm like, man, this one's just way better at times. It's really, really interesting how this works, but just the fact that you can run Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray works really well for a deck like this. Being able to get the 2 memory is good in a deck that also just generically has like a lot of like 1 or 2 memory plays. This just means like this buys you a play or 2, which is cool. And like something with Mervamon as well. When you get to play it, you only play it for like 7, so it's pretty cheap when you do play it. But when you do, you're able to use the effect to play some level 4s, which means that if you're able to keep it your turn, it gives rush to all Digimon with Crosshearts or Retaliation. So if you play this and you can keep it your turn, you can get 3 more swings going in, which is really, really nice for this deck. So I think that's something to consider, like the fact that Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray lets you do that, I think is a really neat effect. You're not running any Cross 5, you're not running any of the cross 7 or anything, you're just like more of like a straight aggression deck. Like if they have defenses, we probably can't get around them as easily, but this one seemed pretty strong, and I liked what it did. So congrats to Howard on their finish there. I hope to see Crossheart in the top 32. We'll see if that happens. Next up, we have Steven's 6th place Blackboard Greymon X. I'd be very, very surprised if Blackboard Greymon X does not get into a top 32, but this has a lot of the ratios that I choose. There's not, even though there's a lot of choices, I say a lot of these decks go very linearly to the same kind of ideas of 4 of this guy, 3 of this guy. The 6 drops are 3 of Blackboard Greymon, 2 of the X antibody, and 2 of the Gaiomon. The Omni X antibody is a decision choice if you want to run the which antibody you want to run. So Steven ran this one. I like the other one better, but I think both are very good in their own rights. 2 Hades Forces, X antibodies, Red Mem Boost, and the Yuya and the Cool Boys as well. 2-3 split for Tamers like this is normally what I see for it. And then the Agumons. The Black Agumon I don't see as often. It can get the double hit, but there can be some weird issues where like the Greymon can't digivolve into it because this is only for red. The other 2 are fine though, so you don't have to worry about it. And of course you can always go Agumon X on top of it, and then that kind of solves the issue for it. But if you guys don't know, this deck is going to be everywhere for a little bit, so buckle up, and we'll have to see how it does in Nationals as well. But congrats to Steven for this top 6 finish, and good luck for his run at Nationals as well. Next up, we have Michael 7th place Imperialdramon, and this is what a deck to still be present in 2023, huh? Like this is a super duper just 20 or what, just an old list. I think the newest card is the Cordramon from EX3, and this just has blocker, and then also when it has Dramon or Examon in its name, gains a blocker. So you do get to give your Imperialdramons blocker, which is interesting, and your Paildramons, but not your Dino Beamons, right? Right. Yeah. Right. So, this is fine though to give these guys blockers. Nice. There's also Imperialdramon Dragon Mode from EX1. When this Digivolving, if a Digimon free in its traits is in the Digimon cards on suspend, then suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then for each card that gets plus 1k, so it becomes 13k pretty easily. And then you just have like some jamming sources with the Vmon, with the the Labramon with it does have jamming. With the XVmon, you're good. This is like another copy of Stingmon, which you can get to play for 3, which is neat because you are also playing Cordramon, so there are situations where that comes up. But all in all, it just looks like a pretty standard Imperialdramon list. I'm really surprised it's still doing well, at least 8th in a big locals like that. And congrats to Michaels for this finish here. And to wrap it on up, we do have Khai's 8th place Jesmon, and I don't know if I believe in Jesmon. I've said this several times. I always want to believe in Jesmon. There's so many times where I'm like, oh man, I just get to build the board, go really wide, do really cool stuff with it. And man, I don't know if Jesmon's going to get top 32 at Nationals. If you guys think it will be, let me know. But it does, again, have a lot of cool stuff. The only issue with the deck is that sometimes you just have to run all these Sistermons, which are generically good, but they're also really rough with consistency sometimes. Sometimes you need to find like your lines and you can't find it. The fact that, they can't do any digivolving kind of stinks at times, but the fact that they do get these effects are great. And with Khai's build specifically, you do have the lines of not only the X antibody, but also the Genku, which goes into the Jesmon GX as well. So a little bit of added there. And then just running from Master Disciple, no Tamers, no Red Mem Boost, just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go straight up my chains. Jesmon GX sometimes can carry me, but I think like there are some good matchups, and this can have a good matchup against Blackboard Greymon X in my experience, but I don't know if that's enough to just justify it getting top 32, especially since it hasn't really gotten any support since since BT10. So anyways, that is the list and my thoughts on Jesmon there. We'll see if it gets top 32. I think it's going to be a top 128, but we'll have to see that ourselves. So that is my breakdown. Again, thank you guys so much for coming to this event. It was a lot of fun, and congrats to our winners, as well as good luck to anyone who's playing at Nationals this weekend. I will be there. Hope to see you guys there as well. And that will be it for me. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.